Taylor T. Carlson here, and doing another vintage Nintendo Power reading for this live stream. I still haven't quite figured out how to share a link to the live stream on my Facebook page, but hopefully we'll get that figured out okay. Just got some error message saying this accessory wasn't supported by my iPhone, which refers to the microphone. So let me know if you can hear me okay, because I've used this microphone on this phone okay, no problems before. If you can hear my voice okay, let me know. If you can't hear my voice, let me know. Either way. Today, we're looking at Nintendo Power issue 193, July 2005. This is the first issue of Nintendo Power after they gave the magazine the big makeover with the new logo. And this pretty much went on for the remainder of the magazine's existence up to, I believe they disbanded in 2012. And they kept this motif for the remainder of their existence, although they did change publishers, I believe, about 2 years later. So, as usual, we're going to go through, we're going to look at this whole magazine from start to finish, and I'll share my comments and thoughts along the way. Nice close-up of the cover there. Got an ad for E3 there. The cover story looks like Zelda. I'm guessing this is probably Twilight Princess. And there's some of the other headlines. More headlines at the top. There's the spine. By this point, they'd discontinued trying to do spine art with all the volumes from a year. I guess they just reached the point where they screwed it up too many times and didn't want to do it anymore. And there's an ad on the back for some Schwinn bicycles that look like motorcycles. I don't know. I'm not really a bike rider myself, so I never had one of those. In the front cover here, we have an ad for the Fantastic Four video game. This would have been a movie tie-in. This would have been right around the time that they put out the movie. I actually just did a review for the DVD set of Secret World of Alex Mack, and Jessica Alba, who plays the Invisible Woman, actually got her start on that show. There's a close-up. Table of contents here. Nice close-up, and you got an ad for some Yu-Gi-Oh game on the other side. Table of contents continued, and there's actually an ad for bubble tape bubble gum here. Anyone remember bubble tape? I remember they used to have those TV commercials on non-stop when I was watching television as a kid. Yeah, for you, not them. That was their slogan, because it was for kids, not adults. I mean, do they even still make bubble tape? That's a good question. And then we have this Pulse section here. This just kind of describes the history of Nintendo up to this point in time. Because again, this was when they first gave the magazine a makeover and completely changed the way it looks. So you got just a few random elements from Nintendo's history. I'm not going to go through every single one, but right there they actually have a picture of the very first Nintendo Power cover art from 1988. A few other systems there. You can see the Game Boy, Mario 3. And actually, if you look right down here, there's actually a Nintendo Virtual Boy, the system that infamously flopped. I actually was on the TV series Pawn Stars once, many years ago, and I sold them my Virtual Boy. If you go on YouTube and you do a search for Pawn Stars Virtual Boy, that should come right up. I mean, honestly, it's a little cringe. I have a hard time watching it myself, but I just don't like watching myself in video for whatever reason. And then there's just the continuation of that timeline. They got some anti-drug PSA on this side. Because around this time, they were putting more and more ads as well as more PSAs in here. And then you got the players' polls with people writing and sharing their opinions. And this was actually the letter that I wrote that's in here, just asking about Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow and how they used the bottom screen for gameplay and the top for maps, which was counter to a lot of games at the time, so I was just asking about that. A few other things there as well. Got an ad for something called Duel Masters here. I mean, when Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh came out, you had a bunch of copycat games, so no surprise there. More of the Players Pulse fan letters. There's a most wanted section here. what games players most wanted to see, and then they got an ad for the Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith game. I remember I had that on the Game Boy Advance. It's basically like Final Fight with lightsabers. It was actually a pretty cool game. And then here's just some random, power news, stuff that was going on. They got an ad for, looks like the Metroid Prime games for the DS. And they got a look at the Game Boy Micro down here, which wasn't around for very long. More news on this page. Got an ad for Pokemon SD. Or it's not SD, XD. So many random offshoot Pokemon titles, I can't keep track of them all. And that's even true to this day. Gotta look at the original DS down there. What's this blur on the bottom? Kirby Goes Hitchhiking. Yeah, Kirby, always one of Nintendo's flagship characters. I still remember when I got the very first Kirby game on the original Game Boy way back in the day. And they got an ad over here for the Nintendo World Store they have in New York City. Originally that was just called the Pokemon Center. It was just Pokemon stuff. Eventually they renovated it and it became all things Nintendo, and Pokemon Center just became like one part of the building. I've never been there before. I've never been to New York City before, but if I ever go, that place is going to be on my to-do list if it's still open. Going down the list. Yeah, more stuff on this page. Got some envelope art again. Got an ad for some Dragon Ball GT game. So many random Dragon Ball games over the years, and I haven't even come close to playing them all. Digimon, another one of the many monster franchises that have existed over the years. The funny thing is, that's often written off as a Pokemon ripoff, but I actually had Digimon products before I had Pokemon products because they were released in America prior to Pokemon. Although I think Pokemon actually did come out first in Japan. More news on this page. Got some, sports games, war games, a little bit of everything in between. Got an ad for a Madagascar game here because, of course, there's a time where every movie ever made, if it was like the least bit marketable to children, had to have a game adaptation, and they were usually terrible. More news on this side. They got a karting game with Crash Bandicoot. Haven't played that game. And then, I said Pull Over. Got some, cop game down there. Looks like we have a fold out here. Yeah, Metroid Prime Hunters. That was the Metroid game for the DS, and a demo of that actually came with the original release of the DS. Let's crack this open. Yeah, this folds open. Got a nice little mini poster of Samus's visor. I like the way that looks. Just plain black on this. And then they got Gunstar Heroes ad. That was a big Genesis game back in the day, but I believe Nintendo put out some kind of remake on their portable systems. What's down here? Other brains beating up on you. This must be like those Brain Age games and things like that. Because there was a period where there were a lot of those coming out on Nintendo consoles. Okay, I'm just looking here. More stuff here. They got some ads for a Beautiful Joe ad. It looks like The Sims on this side. There's an ad for a One Piece game as well. I've never actually watched One Piece, but I should probably start. Apparently it's got like over 1,000 episodes. They even opened a One Piece cafe at Chinatown out here in Vegas, so I've never even watched the show, but I'm tempted to go check that out. If anyone else has checked that out, let me know what it's like. Okay, yeah, Chris said movies use StreamYard. Okay, I'll have to look into that when I get off the line here. There's a game here called Hugo the Evil Mirror. I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of that game before. And this over here is the Game Watch forecast, just like upcoming games. Here we've got, mass destruction on this side. Over here there's an ad for Sigma Star Saga. That was kind of a game that combined, shooter elements and light action RPG elements. Kind of like the Guardian Legend. And I think I played this game once, but might be something I have to go revisit sometime. Got a player's guide for Pokemon Emerald pictured here. An ad here for the E3 convention, yeah, Electronic Entertainment Expo. That's where they always show off like the new games and technology. StreamYard works with YouTube, and you can put the StreamYard link in your live, and then someone can click on it and go live. Okay, maybe next time that's what I'm gonna have to do. But there's a close-up of those E3 games. Here we got the Animal Crossing on the DS and Nintendogs. I remember back when I worked at Tower Records, one of my coworkers had a DS and she played Nintendogs all the time. I never actually played that myself. Got a few game ads. Here's an ad for Ultimate Spider-Man. I had that, but I think I had it on the PS2. Pretty cool cel-shaded Spider-Man game. You can play as Spider-Man or Venom, which was pretty cool. I wonder if they've ever reissued that on any modern console, virtual console shop service, because I wouldn't mind having that game again. There's a preview for a Fire Emblem game here. This is around the time they actually started releasing Fire Emblem games in America, because I think prior to that, people just knew those characters for being in Super Smash Brothers. Over here we got an ad for a Dragon Ball GT game with Super Saiyan 4 Goku. More ads here, including Call of Duty, and there's also a preview for a Advance Wars game for the DS. For a while there, they had a lot of games that originally were on the GBA, and they had like enhanced ports or sequels that came out for the DS. So like you had a dual screen Advance Wars game coming out. I think they actually just put out like a remastered version of the Advance Wars games on the Switch Online shop. That's something I definitely have to add to my to-buy list. Here we got an ad for Kirby Canvas Curse, and over here we got Shadow the Hedgehog and Snowboard Kids. I remember the original Snowboard Kid games were actually on the Nintendo 64 back in the day. Seems like I rented one of those back when video game rental shops were a thing. There's an ad for a GoldenEye Rogue Agent, which was a James Bond game that really doesn't have anything to do with GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. I think they just used the name to sell more copies. There's an ad for one of those other Mega Man Universe games there. This is Battle Network. I don't think I've ever played any Mega Man games outside of like the main series and like X and Legends. More stuff here. Yeah, because with StreamYard, you can put the link in the chat and then people can come up on the panel. So yeah, again, that's definitely something I'm going to have to look into for my next stream. There's a close-up of some more previews there. Got an ad for an X-Men game here, and then also there's an ad you could actually buy ocarinas that were modeled after the ones from Zelda Ocarina of Time. If anyone's watching this video ever bought one of those, let me know how it was. I'm curious if those were actually of a decent quality. And this is like a big preview article for Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which I think didn't come out until like a year after this issue, so this would be like a really early sneak preview. Pretty easy to figure out, not hard. Okay. That'll be something I look into during this week before the next live stream. And then here we have, some more shots from the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess before the game came out. The graphics will slay you if the boss fail to get first dibs. Nice shot there of a big monster. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like a Goomba or an Octorok. As much as I love Zelda, I don't know that I ever really played Twilight Princess. I think I played like the first little bit. It seems like when I first got my Wii, I got that. More stuff here. You got Wolf Link with Midna there. Yeah, the art of Twilight Princess. They got some stuff with one of the artists here. And down there you got a drawing of Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. And then that interview continues off of this page. You got the Twin Rova witches, and I'm guessing that's yeah, that's a moblin there in the upper corner. Another shot from Twilight Princess. Yeah, Renaissance Mario. So you got some of the then up and coming Mario games, like New Super Mario Brothers hadn't come out yet. That was one of the next big things that was coming out because it was Mario going back to his 2D platforming roots. So again, pretty big deal. You also got a Mario Strikers ad here, the soccer game. Then there's Mario Kart DS in the bottom left. If I'm not mistaken, that was like the first Nintendo game, at least of this era, where you could play online. The online service have long since shut down, but that was pretty cool and pretty novel at the time. More stuff here too. Mario Party 7, Mario Tennis Advance, Mario Baseball, Dance Dance Revolution, Mario Mix. I remember I had the Mario DDR, but it seems like it wasn't all that great. Like it only had like 25 songs in the whole game. And some of them were just like, just redos of old public domain songs. I think Twinkle Twinkle Little Star was actually one of them. There's a Puyo Pop Beaver here. Puyo Puyo, that's a really popular puzzle game. Yeah, like so many video games came over from Japan, but like that was adapted here as Kirby's Avalanche, and then also on the Sega it was Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Here's an ad, sort of a preview for the Peter Jackson King Kong video game. I got the movie downstairs, and I might be overdue for a rewatch of that. I never actually played the game adaptation, but I remember it was advertised pretty heavily back in the day. Got an ad here for the From Russia with Love game. They actually got the late Sean Connery to come back and do his voice for that one, I remember. But they threw in stuff from other games. They got a Harry Potter game ad here, and then they got, what's this down here? Chronicles of Narnia. I don't think I actually knew they made a Chronicles of Narnia game. And I remember that James Bond game, they still weren't allowed to use the name Spectre or the character of Blofeld, so they had to make some legal changes, like they called the evil organization Octopus instead. And Kevin McClory, who filed the lawsuit, has since died, so Eon Productions can use Blofeld and Spectre again. And in fact, they made a movie called Spectre that had a modernized, redone version of Blofeld. So we'll see where the James Bond franchise goes from there, both on screen and in games. Here we got some more previews, like some movie-based games, Fantastic Four, like we talked about earlier. Apparently, they made a Herbie Fully Loaded game. I remember when I was working at the rec center and youth programs, we took a field trip to a theater to see Herbie Fully Loaded once, and Herbie's never been heard from again after that, so I wonder if that series is ever going to get revived in any shape or form. You got Nightmare Before Christmas, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. What is here? Join the Game. Okay, this is an ad for DigiPen. That was like a game design school. I remember I mentioned them a few times in my last video because obviously Nintendo Power is a gaming mag, so they advertised that school pretty heavily. Here we have the monthly Players Poll contest. This is a giveaway for Zelda Twilight Princess on the GameCube. A few other things there. There's no contest for here, so I probably did register for this contest when I was a young man. Yeah, Killer Strategies. So here's like some stuff for a game called Killer 7. Not one that I'm familiar with. Yeah, Hoenn Havoc. This is like, I guess this is Pokemon Emerald. Yeah. The old Pokemon games, they always released 2 games, and then they released like a revised special edition version later on. Like Generation 3, which was the Hoenn games, had Ruby and Sapphire, but the revised version that came out, I think about 2 years later, was Emerald. So here's a look at that. More Pokemon Emerald stuff on this page. You got Norman, who's the playable character's father. The gym leaders' names are always sort of a play on what type they are. So like Norman is a play on the word normal, because your character's father's a normal type gym leader. That might be the only Pokemon game where your character's father actually exists and is a part of the storyline. And over there you got Flannery, the fire gym leader. More on this page. More so, this looks like the old Ken Sugimori art of the Pokemon, which is probably the best known artist and art style. Here you got Groudon, one of the legendary types. You got Team Magma and Team Aqua. This generation was unique because it actually had 2 villain teams instead of 1 that were like rival teams. So like one of them became somewhat sympathetic to your character in your game and you fought the other. But in Emerald, you sort of fight both of them. Yeah, classified info or classified information as it used to be known. This is like game hints and cheats. More Fire Emblem on these pages here. Fire Emblem article continued. Got an ad for Pokemon Emerald trading card game cards. Here's the beginning of the reviews section. And like I said in my previous review, they revised and redid the review section a whole bunch of times. So here they just gave you like, a pretty simplistic rating out of 10. So you got, 7, Killer 7, International Golf and Tennis, and, a Digimon game. And these are got decent reviews, except International Golf and Tennis only got a 3.0, and they recommend Mario Golf instead. Here's a look at the Revenge of the Sith Star Wars game. Like I said, it's basically Final Fight with lightsabers. What we got on this side? We got, Puyo Puyo. They got a Pac-Man pinball game, a Scrabble game. Yeah, Need for Speed game. Yeah, Fire Emblem here, and then they got stuff like, Mr. Driller and WarioWare. Yeah, right here, you got more of the, I guess this is just like an index of reviews, like ratings for games that are already reviewed, and then some blurbs from the game reviewers here. Yeah, the battle in Seattle. So this is like a Pokemon contest, like in-person, battles, tournaments, stuff like that. Got a picture of the Space Needle right there, which is the big landmark up in Seattle. I've actually got an aunt, and her family lives in the Seattle suburbs. When I was kids, we'd go up there every now and then. And one time we actually went up the Space Needle. I've got a souvenir of the Space Needle, like a little miniature Space Needle around here somewhere. If I can find that, maybe I'll show that off on here. Here they got some, just look back at old school stuff. They got a picture of the Game Boy camera there. Anyone remember the Game Boy camera? They got something here with Beck, the singer-songwriter. They got an ad for Super Mario 64 DS, as well as some other stuff on this side from the Nintendo Power staff. Got a Power Quiz section. And then I'll look at some of the Nintendo Power Players guides. So, what are they asking this section here? Yeah, like what game was once shown at E3 as both an N64 game and a GameCube game? What was revealed at E3 under a slightly more cryptic name? Which character once graced the cover of Nintendo Power carrying a severed head? That's Simon Belmont from Castlevania. That was like the second issue they ever made, and it, I guess, made a lot of parents mad because Nintendo Power has printed a whole lot of retractions since then. And Conker's Bad Fur Day for Nintendo 64 was originally meant to be geared toward a broader audience. What was the working title? It's E3 98. Yeah, it's 12 Tales Conker 64. I remember when that was the name. Kind of funny, we look at Conker's Bad Fur Day these days, and it's this horribly inappropriate M-rated game, but there was a time where that was actually sort of an E-rated character. He was playable in Diddy Kong Racing, and there was also a Game Boy Color Conker game as well. Here's a look at next month, and then you got the contact information there as well. I always tried to coerce you into subscribing to Nintendo Power by offering a player's guide or some sort of incentive. So you got your order form here. Actually, how many pages was this issue? So I guess counting the back cover, it's about 116 pages. When Nintendo Power first came out, it was only like 99 pages per issue, and they kind of pushed it up and started adding more stuff to it over time, so that's good. Some of the later issues actually clocked it at under 99 pages, so it really varies. But overall, I was always happy to be a Nintendo Power subscriber, and I'll certainly do a few more of these live streams. Hopefully this helps me generate a few more views for my channel and educate some of you guys on Nintendo Power and what they were all about back in the day. Like I said, I was a subscriber to the magazine from, I believe, 1991 to about 2008. Nintendo Power started in '88. It was the follow-up to the Nintendo Fun Club newsletter, and it ended in 2012. So the magazine was around for quite a while. Again, I stopped subscribing in 2008, but they did keep going for another 4 years. So if I find any of those other issues anywhere at all, I might throw those together. So any parting shots from anyone before I end the live stream? Thanks again to everyone that did tune in. I know, like I said, I'm still going to try to figure out how to share the link to the live streams on my channel, on my Facebook page. Hopefully that'll help generate a few more views. But again, thanks to everyone that did tune in, and I will see you guys on my next stream. I'll try to do one next Saturday as well. Try to keep a consistent day for this going. And for the next one, we'll look at this issue. This is volume 198 from December 2005, just a few months after the one that we just looked at. All right, once again, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.